Hi everyone, Hannah here. So in this video we are going to embellish our grunge that you received in your mixed media junk journal box. And I'm applying gloss gel so that the metallic flakes will stick to it. And then I'm leaving a little bit on my brush because that way as I'm applying the metallic flakes, with the brush it will glue them down. And I had stamped, it wasn't stamped, in the process of trying out a few things on transferring an image from a transparency film. This was the image that came out onto the grunge. So I'm leaving a little bit of it and then just kind of decorating around it. And I'm just going to keep applying the metallic flakes. I like to start out small and then just keep adding on and building layers and layers. So I'm going to do more of the copper flakes at the bottom, and then do a gold in the middle and silver at the top, and then just kind of add a little bit of each color in all of the places, just to kind of make it flow, kind of a variegated look. Not that it's going to completely flow, because we're going from copper to gold to silver. So, it's not like it's, a dark, medium, light color of the same color. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm going for. I hope that you can pick it up good in the camera. I know with these metallic flakes, they're very shiny. And so it's kind of hard to really focus, for the camera to focus in on it because of that, reflection, that shine from the metallic flakes. But I wanted to try to get as best as I could on the camera just to show you what I'm creating. With this grunge, I'm going to be applying it to the front of my journal. That kind of gives you an idea of what you could do with it. Another thing that I thought about, if you wanted to make your own charms, you could cut them into whatever shape you wanted it to be, and then apply the metallic flakes to it. And you can just put a bulb pin through the top, or make a little hole with your crocodile, and then put one of those little I forget what they're called, but with the crocodile, and you can make charms out of it that way, hanging on the side of your journal. And if you put a pretty good bit of the metallic flakes on it, then it looks like a metal charm on your journal. So this is what it ended up looking like after I applied the layers. And I've got a little bit of that open spot, but we'll do something with that later. So the next thing I thought, in your kit you also receive 2 metal embellishments. So I'm going to apply some gloss gel over the pendant or charm. I'm going to use it as a charm since it already has a hole at the top. And I'm trying to apply thin layers of the metallic flakes so that the design that's underneath will show through, that you'll still be able to see the bumps of it, the embossed part, and it'll, show through the metallic flakes. And I'm just going to keep adding layers, trying to keep it thin. Sometimes with these metallic flakes, they can, be a little finicky, and then of course it wants to stick to my fingers, and so that makes it kind of hard. Ideally, I think if you had a pair of tweezers or something to grab the flakes and sit it on the metal and then brush it down with the glue, that's probably the best way. I just didn't feel like getting up and going and getting the tweezers. And so I thought, well, I'll just bear through it. So anyway, I'm just continuing to apply, kind of following the same theme of the grunge, with more of the copper in the middle. The copper at the bottom, gold in the middle, and silver at the top. And then I'm just trying to make it flow as best as I can. So this is what my pendant ended up looking like. I really like how it turned out. I think it showed the image underneath very well. And then you can just take a bulb pen or, safety pin, whatever you got, and just, hook it right through, and I'll just set that aside for a charm later. Now I'm just brushing off the rough edges from the metallic flakes. And then I wanted to take some of the stamps that you received in your kit, and we're just going to do some stamping. And I'm just using black ink. You can use whatever color ink, the color that you got in the kit, or whatever you have on hand. And if you have a light color stamp, you can always put the embossing powder over it, which I am going to be putting some embossing powder over some of the stamping, just to add a little bit of pink to it. I'm going to use pink embossing powder, and you can use whatever color embossing powder you received in your kit or what you already have on hand. And I know it's kind of hard to pick up the stamped image, because of the shine from the metallic flakes. But so now the last part that I'm going to stamp on is the moon. And I'm just going to do it in different areas. I like the texture that's inside the moon, and I'm just going to add that to some of the blank or white spaces of the grunge board. So I'm going to add the embossing powder to the butterflies. And I'm also going to add it to the parts of the moon that I stamped on here. And I'm just patting the excess off onto a piece of paper. And then I like to take everything off of my paper and then put the embossing powder back in the container that it goes in. That way I can save it for another project, and it helps my powder to last longer. So I like how that turned out, giving it a little pop of color there, because I am going to put it up against that mauve, kind of dusty rose colored upholstery fabric that you received in your kit. So I think that's going to help it to flow better together. So with the other metal embellishment, I've got a couple of those little brads like what you received in your kit, and I'm going to poke holes, and that way to just, kind of fix that on there. These are such little tiny brads, and they're kind of cumbersome and hard to deal with. So, and then of course, I just got my nails done, and I'm not used to having nails, so it's a little bit getting used to. So anyway. So I like how that has turned out, and I'm just going to close that out. And then next, what I want to do is take the little key charm, and you can apply it with a bulb pen or a brad. I'm going to do it with the brad. And I'm just going to have it hang off of this metal embellishment that we just fixate it to our grunge with the brads. If you wanted it to move more, then you can add a safety pin or a bulb pin, something like that. And that's going to make it move more. I want mine to kind of stay in place and not do a bunch of moving around, just because I'm afraid that if it does a lot of moving around and gets caught on something, it could damage, what I've just made here. I mean, it's pretty sturdy, but anyway, that's just my personal preference. But I hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial video. It was really fun to make. Hope this inspires you. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to let me know. Thanks so much for watching.